Hello, happy dwellers, and welcome to the Happy Dwelling Podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here with me today, and I hope you have been well and are creating those great habits so your dwelling place can be a happy one. Hello, happy dwellers, and happy Friday, or happy whatever day it is that you are listening to this. Thank you for being here with me. I really appreciate it. And once again, if you like it, send it out to somebody that you love and care about, who you think possibly would like to hear this or needs to hear this. And go ahead and like, subscribe, comment if you're on YouTube, all the things. Just want to remind you to do all the things because it really helps me out. Okay, so I wanted to introduce a new section to this podcast because my introductions in the past have been, they've been okay. It's a little bit all over the place, but I want to introduce something that's more structured and that is also beneficial to everybody. So this new section I want to introduce is a section about gratefulness. So before we start any of the podcasts, I want to say one thing I've been grateful for the past week. So for me, this is going to be breathing out of my nose. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice right now, but my daughter gifted me with a lovely head cold once again, and I was struggling for a second there, you know what I'm saying? And it felt really good to be able to breathe through my nose, of course, applying the Healthy Vicks and all the things. But it's just something that we unconsciously do and we don't think about it. And when it's gone, or when it's a little bit of a struggle to have it, you realize how good you had it before. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. When you're sick and then you're well, it's like, whoa, I didn't appreciate my health. And I think that ties into what we're talking about today, because I am talking about a topic that concerns your health. Some things are more obvious than others, like when you get a head cold and you got a bunch of mucus and you can't breathe like you want to. And some things are a lot less obvious, which today I will be talking about. Topic is liquid sugar. Sugar is one of those things where you don't see the results necessarily immediately unless you already have some type of condition. But over time, it actually does affect your body in a negative way. So we're going to talk about that. I wanted to go ahead and introduce the topic by letting you guys know a little bit about my childhood and my relationship to sugar sweetened beverages growing up. So when I was a child, my parents really liked juice. So there was always juice available for the most part, but they didn't really rock with soda. There was a lot of soda shaming as I was growing up. So we didn't do that because we were healthy. We were a healthy family. We only did apple juice and other juices. But what ended up happening was we had a lot of orange juice and apple juice as I was like really little. And then as I got older, a lot more options were available to me. My dad started buying some other things. We would go to Costco and get the huge powdered Tampico. And if you know, that thing was, but we would have that. And we would have the powdered Brisk iced tea and the powdered Country Time lemonade. And then we would also get, beverages that go in the fridge, the Minute Maids. Sometimes we would have Sunny D, whatever the case may be. We would have, it would be a wide variety of juices. And when we really had money, we would go ahead and get the cran apples, cran grapes, cranberry, everything, because they were awesome. And I grew up thinking that it was normal to quench your thirst with juice because that's what I was exposed to. That's what the culture on a larger scale exposed me to. And so that's what we did. We were thirsty. We would reach in for whatever the juice options were available. Water wasn't really a big part of the picture like juice was. As I got older, my brothers would do stuff like put their mouths on the bottles or leave a drop of juice left, and it would frustrate me. So I would go ahead and try to hit up the water a little bit more often because we always had filtered water available. And when we were broke and didn't have the money to buy all these other beverages, we would always have water. So it's not like I was unfamiliar with water. It was just, it wasn't my preference necessarily. And it really wasn't until I became a nanny. As time went on, as I got more health conscious, I of course changed my dietary patterns, drinking patterns, whatever. But it wasn't until I was a nanny where I really put things in perspective. So I was a nanny. I was privileged to be a nanny to this beautiful little girl. And her mom was very health conscious. And it was cool because I was learning from her. And, we were kind of going back and forth with sharing knowledge and all the things. And her mom never gave her juice. And I kind of like looked at her like, yo, that's cruel. Like, you're not going to give her some apple juice, some diluted apple juice. Like you just giving her water out here? Like, what? Because it was so strange to me because everybody that I know or have known, and also myself, apple juice is what you give babies. Hello. But she never did that. And I thought it was strange, but I saw that her daughter loved, and by loved, I mean like absolutely loved drinking her water. And I was in awe of that too, because all the babies that I had known, and I mean, I didn't really remember myself, but they didn't have that relationship with water. So it made sense to me because I was like, wait a minute. Our bodies are actually made up of water. We actually need water to survive. We don't need this juice stuff. And you're cultivating her taste buds to like the things that are actually good for her. And I was like, oh, I get it now. And because of her, I don't give my daughter juice either. And my daughter loves her some water. I do give her coconut water, and she's obsessed with coconut water. I know adults that don't like it, and she's like asking me for coconut water every day. It's kind of funny. But the point I'm trying to make here is our culture from young gets us to think that juice is the norm. Juice is the standard. That is how you quench your thirst. But in all reality, like, your body's not made out of juice. Your body's made out of water. So you don't need the juice. And our culture also tells us that not only do you need the juice, you need it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You need it in between. And that's how you quench your thirst. So you always have some type of beverage on hand that's not water. And that's a big problem. It's a huge problem. I'm going to get into a little bit as to why that is a problem a little bit more. According to an article from the journal Nutrients, a U.S. citizen consumes an average of 216 liters of soda per year, of which 58% contains sugar. What? 216 liters. So I want you to imagine like a 7-Up bottle or a Sprite bottle, a liter of that. Now I want you to imagine 216 of those. That's a lot. It's a lot of soda. 58% of that is sugar. What? That's a lot of sugar, you guys. That's a lot. This is a problem because consuming high amounts of sugar can lead to non-communicable diseases. And by non-communicable, I mean diseases that you can't spread from one person to another, unlike the flu, and that's not really a disease, it's like a virus, or other viruses that are on our mind. Some of these diseases include tooth decay, gout, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, metabolic syndrome, which is a combination of high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high blood triglycerides, and low HDL, which is the good cholesterol. So you mean to tell me we're drinking 216 liters of soda a year? 58% of that is sugar. And you're telling me that all these diseases that Americans struggle with come from sugar or can be linked to sugar? So we're exacerbating or creating these diseases when in reality we don't have to do that. It's a choice. We're making a choice. Yes, our culture has brainwashed us, honestly, to thinking that we have to have some type of beverage all the time. But water is a beverage. It's cool. It's good. It works. And it's better for you than all this other stuff that we have. Obesity is a problem in our nation. If you didn't know, now you know. 1/3 of U.S. Americans are considered obese. And that number continues to climb, especially with COVID and the lockdown. A lot of people weren't moving how they should. A lot of people were not eating how they should. And a lot of us have gained a lot of weight over lockdown. And this is exacerbating, like I said, or creating even more of a problem. These beverages play such a huge role in our lives, but in reality, they don't have to. It's a choice. Sugar-sweetened beverages accounts for 39% of added sugar in the American diet. 39%. 39%. So could you imagine if we were to eliminate that 39%? Like, what would our society look like if that 39% didn't exist? That's almost 40%. I said obesity, diabetes, gout, tooth decay, metabolic syndrome, and there's so much more, because whenever you're dealing with elevated blood sugar, that's affecting a lot of different organs. And this is a nice little cute little on the surface explanation for some of the things that elevated blood sugar can do to you. But that's just something to keep in mind, because wow, like, that's powerful. 40%, about 40% of added sugar comes from these beverages that we drink. I wonder what would happen if we removed it. So the American Heart Association suggests an added sugar limit of no more than 100 calories per day, which is equal to about 6 teaspoons or 24 grams of sugar. So some of the sugar-sweetened beverages I'm talking about are soda, iced tea, lemonade, juice, fruit juice, coffee, energy drinks, anything that has added sugar, really. That's what we talk about. So you can go ahead and let your mind wander and think of whatever beverages that contains. I think I got them all. I'm not fully sure though. If I didn't, let me know in the comments or DM me. It's also important for us to look at the serving size of our juices, sodas, whatever the case may be. Like, how much is an actual serving of juice? Technically, it's supposed to be a half a cup or 4 ounces. And how many of us actually drink a half cup of that? Like, that doesn't even fill up a mug. None of us do that. So we're doubling, tripling, quadrupling the amount that is a actual serving size, and we're getting all the junk that's within that. I want you guys to keep in mind this conversion factor. You don't really have to remember it because I'm going to give you both, but whatever. 1 teaspoon is equal to 4 grams of sugar. Okay, so we're going to go through a list of a couple of beverages, common beverages in America, some more popular than others, and we're going to kind of discuss their sugar content, and we're going to compare it to the American Heart Association's recommended limit, which was 6 teaspoons or 24 grams of sugar. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to do that. So in a Capri Sun, a fruit punch Capri Sun, 1 pouch has 11 grams of sugar. That is equal to almost 3 teaspoons of sugar. And that would be, if we're going off of the American Heart Association's recommendation, about 45% of the recommended amount. We're going to just say it's the recommended amount. Okay, we know it's a limit, but we're going to just say that. 45%. So that was actually given for adults, that recommendation from the American Heart Association. So I don't know what it is for children, but I'm going to assume that it's lower. And you're telling me that in one sitting, one of these pouches can give you 45% of that. That's a lot. That's almost half. And I know some parents give their children multiple of these, and that's just something to keep in mind, because we do, like I mentioned, the little girl that I nannied before, we do help to create the culture in our lives, in our households, and for our children. And sugar can be a very addictive substance. And if you're cultivating their taste buds to desire this or want this, they're going to just want more. And we're creating this cycle of addiction and disease, honestly. And is it really worth it? Okay, I'm going to get off that soapbox. We're going to go back to the list. The next one I want to point out is a brisk iced tea in a 12-ounce can. I figured I would go with this iced tea because it's kind of common, you see it in vending machines, see it at the gas station, see it at the corner store, whatever. In a 12-ounce can of a brisk iced tea, there are 17 grams of sugar, which is equal to almost 4 teaspoons of sugar. This would be 70% of the recommended amount, according to the AHA, American Heart Association. 70%. So with one beverage of this, you're good for the rest of the day. Like, you don't need nothing else, okay? Nothing else at all. So the next one, Minute Maid lemonade in a 12-ounce can. We're going to keep it consistent with the cans here because everybody knows what a can looks like. So in 1 Minute Maid lemonade 12-ounce can, can you guess how much sugar is in that? 40 whopping grams of sugar. That's equal to 10 teaspoons of sugar. And that is 166% of the recommended amount. 166%. So you have 1 can of this, you're good for that day, and 2/3 of the next day. Are you serious? Like, this is crazy. And something I want to mention here about both the iced tea and the lemonade is, the sugar content in that differs. If you're getting sweet tea or iced tea from whether it's the Pure Leaf, the Brisk iced tea, whatever brand you're getting it from, or let's just say you're hitting up McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, whatever the case may be, the sugar content varies. And if you're in the South, baby, they add in sugar to that. Okay? It's a hefty part of the recipe. And you just have to be conscious of this, and you have to look at the label. Look at the label and see if this is something worth your time, worth putting into your body. Okay, on to the next one. So we're going to go and we're going to dog America's favorite drink, okay? We're going to dog them because this thing can help you clean your toilet effectively. It can help you clean your tire rims effectively. It's funny because we still think that it's okay to be consumed. Like, this is not healthy for you. This thing is not healthy for you. So I think I dogged them enough. So in a Coca-Cola 12-ounce can, there are 39 grams of sugar, which is almost 10 teaspoons of sugar, and that's 162% of your recommended daily amount. Once again, you're good for the next day and 2/3 of the... You're good for that day and the next 2/3 of the following day with 1 can of this. The next one, I'm coming for some of y'all Starbucks heads, okay? Instead of just getting one of the drinks, because they do have the nutritional information online for all their drinks, instead of just doing that, I'm going to go ahead and get one of their to-go drinks. In the Starbucks Iced Frappuccino Vanilla, about 13.7 ounces. It's about 13.7 ounces, and there is a whopping 46 grams of sugar, or 11.5 teaspoons, which is equal to 191% of your recommended daily amount. 191%. You guys, this is insane. 191%. You're good for that day and the following day. You're good. Like, you don't need nothing else, honey. And I know Starbucks has different sizes. I'm not a Starbucks girl, so don't come for me. The really big one, I don't want to say tall, but I know that's the size. I don't really know. There's a lot of sugar in that. Like, this is their to-go drink. What happens when we're having multiple cups of these in a day? The next one, and this is the most extreme I've found from the research that I've done, and I know not every energy drink has this content of sugar, but I think it's worth discussing anyway. So in the Green Monster energy drink, it has 16 fluid ounces altogether, and if you were to turn over the label, it has a serving size of 2 on it, so you would double whatever you see there on the nutrition facts. It has a whopping doom. Are you ready for this? 54 grams of sugar. That's equal to 14 teaspoons of sugar, and that is 225% of the recommended daily amount. 225%. 225%. You're good for that day, the next day, and a quarter of the following day. The crazy thing about this is that none of us really stop at one. We have multiple of these drinks in a day. We have it with our meals. Like I said, it's part of the culture. It's what we do. And you see how easy that adds up in terms of how much sugar you're actually consuming. And I highly doubt if we were to sit down and make a cup of coffee or tea that we would actually scoop in 14 teaspoons of sugar. You'd probably just scoop in 3, possibly 4, and then be like, all right, that's enough. Here it is. These beverages are wrapped in these beautiful packaging, and none of us really think to turn over the label and look at it. And if we do, we might not fully understand what it's saying. So it's not a problem for us. Like, what are we doing to our bodies? Sugar is no bueno. We talked about this. It's not good. It's not good for you. And over time, it definitely has some negative health effects on you and your body. So the next one I have here, well, I have one more, and it's a little bit of a trick one. So don't be annoyed with me too much. So how much grams of sugar do you think is in water? Nothing. 0, zilch, nada. But that's what our body requires. It doesn't require all this other stuff. And yes, they may taste good, but that's not what we need. That's not what we need, and it's doing more damage than it is doing good. So I wanted to go over a little bit of what happens in your body when you have too much sugar. There's a lot of different types of sugars, okay? And if you're not very aware of the different scientific names for them, I'm going to just leave it alone. There's a lot of different sugars. They're absorbed differently. They go in their body, and they kind of do things a little bit differently. But the very general picture that I'm going to paint for you is that there are three main things that happen. One, it goes into your bloodstream and it gets distributed to various organs like your kidneys, your skeletal muscles, your brain, your red blood cells, etc. The second thing it does is that it stores it in your liver as something called glycogen. So if sugar was a currency for the body, the checking account would be the blood that's distributed in your the sugar that's distributed in your bloodstream to give to the various organs. That would be like a checking account. The savings account that's attached to the checking account would be the glycogen storage. Basically, if your blood sugar ever gets too low, your body will tap into this form of sugar to help to maintain and stabilize your blood sugar. So it's like I said, the savings account that is attached to your checking account. And then the third thing that happens in your body is that your body stores excess sugar after you've had enough glycogen and after it has fulfilled the needs of the organs, the various organs the sugar is being, distributed to. It will store it as fat. And storing it as fat is like an investment account that is not very liquid. It's a little bit harder to get back out, but it's there just in case. Here it is. A lot of us in America, 1/3 of us are obese. A high number of us are overweight. A high number of us have prediabetes or are diabetic. We complain that we don't feel well. There's so much going on in our society. We really have a health epidemic that needs to be addressed, and something really has to be done about it to change it. We are sick and diseased and getting worse, and we're passing this on to generations. It's disheartening. It's sad, honestly. It's just sad. We're here talking about this topic today because we're trying to do something about it. We want to make sure that we spread the love and the support and the education to ourselves and to the next generations, because you have the ability to share this podcast, FYI. So definitely do that if this has been helpful for you. We're creating this paradigm for ourselves. We really are. And we can take steps in the right direction to go ahead and fix this or make it better. So what can we actually do about this? So like I mentioned earlier, sugar sweetened beverages account for 39% of added sugar in the American diet. I've alluded to this before, but we can replace it. Replace it with water. Oh, but I don't like water. I don't like the taste of water, this, that, and the third. There are options out here. You can buy flavored water. You can get flavored carbonated water. You can drink herbal teas without the added sugar. I know that sounds gross, but they do it in China, and I do it too, and it's bomb. You get used to it after a while. And even if you were to add sugar to your herbal teas, I'm pretty sure you're not going to be adding 14 teaspoons or 10 teaspoons of sugar, and it probably would be better off for you than whatever it is that you actually are buying. So there's that. You can also eat actual fruit. Fruit is made up of like 90% of water, and it varies with the different fruit that you eat. Of course, something like watermelon has a higher content, but if you want to be hydrated, you can definitely hit up some fruit and go in on it. You can definitely eat fruit and get hydrated that way. And let's say you don't want to eat fruit all day, which I get it. And, that could also affect your sugar, especially if you're diabetic. So you can do fruit infused water. You can take some strawberries, cut them up, put them in the water. Of course, we all know lemon water. You can do the same thing with oranges. You can do it with honeydew. There's options out here. You can do mint. You can do basil. You can spice that thing up. Okay, and make it really, really good, and to the point that you don't even realize that you're drinking water. You know, it'll add that flavor to it that you might like. And as long as you're drinking some more water, like, you're winning. You're winning. Another thing we can do is drink coconut water. Coconut water is the closest thing to human blood found in nature because of all of the wonderful electrolytes it has to offer. We've got potassium in there, we've got sodium in there, we've got a bunch of micronutrients in there. It's amazing. It is amazing. And like I said, I do give that to my dog. But you have to be careful with that because a lot of companies are now adding sugar to their coconut water. You'll see on the back 1% of added sugar or something like that. Just make sure you read the label and you're comfortable with whatever the coconut water has to offer. And another thing we can do is we can actually dilute our juices and our sodas. I know that it could be hard to just make an abrupt change, which I 1,000% get. So something else that we can do is, like I said, dilute your juices and your sodas. Maybe for the first week, you're going, instead of drinking the whole cup of juice, you're going to put 25% of water, 75% of juice. Next, the following week, 50%, 50 to 50. And then the next week, 75% water, 25% juice, whatever the case may be. The cool thing about us and our bodies is that every 30 days, our taste buds change. They change. And what that means is that even if you are accustomed to having a certain amount of sugar now, you have the ability to change your taste buds. You can actually change your taste buds and actually have the ability to lower your body's tolerance for sugar. So something like this could take some time. Like I said, 30 days. But if you work on it and if you start with the diluting now, you can definitely see some improvements. I think this is a really cool option, especially because a lot of us can't just like go cold turkey. So if that's you, this is definitely something that you should try to incorporate. We're getting to the end here, and I just want to reiterate that you have the power to control your decisions. You have the power to control your household. If you're a wife, a mom, a parent in general, you create the culture of your household. And by us doing that and by us making the correct choices and making the changes necessary, we can change communities, we can change neighborhoods, we can change states, we can change America and the world, okay? You are more powerful than you think. And this stuff can have a domino effect. It definitely can. It can definitely have a domino effect. And I want us to feel empowered that we can actually do this. It's not rocket science. It's not. And we want to get our bodies back to a state of optimal health. We want to make sure that we are feeding it the things that it needs and taking away the things that it doesn't. And this is a huge part of it. 40% of added sugar comes from sugar-sweetened beverages. So let's do our best to eliminate it. And if you like this message, go ahead, like I said in the beginning, share it out to somebody that you love. Send it through a text message. Post it on social media, whatever the case may be. Because we're all in this together. And we're trying to make our dwelling places a happy one. That is all I have for you all today. Thank you so much for spending your time listening to me. I hope you join me in the next one to learn more about health topics that can help you improve your life so you can be happy in your dwelling place. Love y'all.